Hi guys, today we're going to be solving Leetcode 412 FizzBuzz. So we're going to start off by going through the explanation or description, and then we're going to be going through all of the test cases. I'll be solving this problem in Python today, but my answer will be applicable to any programming language. If you guys want me to solve it in C++, I would be happy to do that too. I'm just trying to figure out what language most people would be interested in when it comes to actually writing the code at the end. So let's quickly go through the description. Given an integer n, return a string array answer 1 indexed, where answer I equals FizzBuzz if I is divisible by 3 and 5, answer I is equal to fizz if I is divisible by 3, answer I is equal to buzz if I is divisible by 3 and 5, and answer I is equal to I as a string if none of the conditions are true. So two things to look at when we're looking at this problem is that one, it's going to be 1 indexed, right? So that means that we're going to be having this go from 1 to n, including n, versus 0 to n. So what does that mean? So if n is equal to 3, we don't want to go 0, 1, 2, right? We want to go 1, 2, 3. So that's why it's important to have 1 indexed there. It's important that we'll have that in our actual final answer. And then another thing that's important, this problem is really common, especially for beginner programmers, because normally, like when you look at this problem, you think it seems really simple and but there is a little trick to it. One of the tricks is right here, where if you do not have FizzBuzz first, where we check for 3 and 5, let's say that we had a check for 3, 5, and then 3 and 5, right? So what would end up happening is if we had the number, let's say 15, 15 would be divisible by 3 and 5, but if we had it where it checked for 3 or 5 before this first one, we would end up getting that is the actual answer versus having this. So this is why it's important when we have a structure of like a loop or anything where we have some sort of conditionals, that even the order of how we have those conditionals is really important. So there's that. And then the last little trick to it is that right here again, we want to be able to have I as a string, right? Not as an integer. So it's a really simple thing. We'll just cast the integer to a string. So let's go through our test cases for our examples. So n is going to be equal to 3. So again, we're starting 1 index based. So the output is going to be 1, 2, and fizz. And it's pretty straightforward because we see here that when we get fizz, right, so 1 is not going to be divisible by 3 or 5. So these first 3 conditions are never met. 2 is going to be the same, and fizz is only going to be divisible by 3, right? So again, we have this first check here. It's going to be see, oh, it is by 3, but not by 5. So we're going to have just a little and, where both conditions on either side have to be true. And then we'll have 3 and 5. And in this case, just to kind of make it a little bit helpful, is that these orders do not matter, right? So 5 and 3, this order would not matter, but this order does matter on our first condition. And then let's look at number 2. So n is going to be equal to 5. So we're starting 1, 2, fizz, right? Just like in the last example, where fizz is only going to be divisible by 3. And then 4, not divisible by either of those. And then buzz, right? Because it's going to check here, is it divisible by 3 and 5? The answer is going to be no. And then we're going to have, is it divisible by 3? Nope. Is it divisible by 5? Yes. And then if it wasn't, then we'd go here, right? And then our last test case, we can actually see that n is equal to 15. So normally, like we'd go through it like we would in these last ones, right? Where we had 5 and we have fizz, buzz, fizz, because 6 is divisible by 3. And then we have fizz here again. I'm assuming this is 9, 10, because it's divisible by 5. 12 divisible by 3, and then FizzBuzz 15, right? So 15 is going to be divisible by 3 and 5. So that's going to be one of those things where, again, if I had either one of these conditions, let's say answer I is equal to fizz or answer I is equal to buzz, were divisible by 3 or 5, if those came before FizzBuzz, we would actually get a wrong answer, right? So now let's kind of go through one quick thing. We're going to use modulus as opposed to divider. Modulus will be able to tell something's divisible by, let's say in this case 6 or 3 or 9, right? These numbers will be divisible and we will be able to see that they're equal to 0. So 6 divided by 2, sorry, 3 is going to be 2, but 6 modulus 3 is going to be equal to 0. And that's going to be really important because it'll allow us to quickly check, is this number actually, divisible. So let's clear this up and let's start writing some code. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to be returning an array, right? So I'm just going to create an array. I'm just going to call this my answer, and I'm declaring it as an empty array, right? So now we're going to go through this. We're going to have a for loop for I in range, and we're going to start at 1 and n plus 1, okay? So this is important right here because I'm going to be starting at 1, and I'm going to be going all the way up to n plus 1. So what this means is that, again, the way that range is going to work is going to be up to but not including. So if we go n plus 1, let's say that we pass in the number 3, this will go up to but not including 4. So this will go 1, 2, 3, okay? So again, if I had n is equal to 3, and if I did this 1 to n, this would go 1, 2. But I want to be able to include 3, right? So that's why I have this below, okay? So that is going to be that. We're going to have it up to including. So this is where we're going to have our conditionals, right? We want to have if I modulus 3 is equal to 0 and I modulus 5 is equal to 0, then we're just going to have our answer. And then this right here, this is called append. Append is essentially add. This is going to just add to the back of the list, right? So we're going to append, and then we're going to add it as a string, right? FizzBuzz. Next, we're going to have our else if condition. This is else if that's not true, right? We're going to have I modulus 3 is equal to 0. We're just going to have answer dot append fizz. I need to put that as a string. Else if I modulus 5 is equal to 0, we're just going to have buzz, right? And then we're going to have our final condition. Else, if none of those conditions are true, let's say we have a number like 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, where none of these numbers are going to be divisible by 3 or 5, and 3 and 5 including. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to have answer dot append. And this is important. If we were to just push I, this would push it as an integer. So we're going to do something called casting, which is essentially going to convert what I is, which in this case is an integer, to a string. So this is just a little built-in function you can call. And then we're going to break out of our for loop, and we're going to return our answer, which is going to be our array of strings. And yeah, that is going to be it. Let's run this. For I in range 1. What did I do? Oh, right here, sorry. For I in range, sorry. Okay, and then we'll submit it. Sorry about that, silly mistake. And here we go. Beats 96.28% of users. That's pretty fast. So yeah, this is going to be an O of n time complexity, and this is going to also be a O of n space complexity, because we're going to be storing up to n strings inside of our array that we return at the end. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks.